Well, it was finally translated, and no, your eyes do not deceive yourself. It is the angry anime fan without his glasses on. This is the final day of 2018, but not the final video of 2018. I'm thinking of doing another when time becomes a little later, but it has nothing to do with this. Ironically, this manga was placed on my top 10, in my top 10 of the bottom of only number 10 as the manga I liked the least. So I guess it's only fitting, karma over the fact that it is the last manga review for me. I guess in a way is this trying to say to me, enjoy it more, but I'm just saying, well, then bring a little bit more hope 2019. I will continue reading you, but don't think I won't criticize you. Yes, this is the Shokugeki no Soma, and again, the angry anime fan. Once we see the Soma thing, unfortunately, Soma doesn't win immediately. He will win next chapter. I mean, that's classic Shokugeki no Soma trend. But just once, I wish he would have won in just one chapter. But but we still don't exactly know what he's after with the ice cream spoons. But it's basically spoons versus chainsaw. Wasn't there actually someone who once said spoons is mightier than the saw? No one saw that. I think they just saw that because of, the tick. Either way, of course, the Sarge say the typical thing. I mean, I always suspected she would say that, and that would be, "Are you mocking me?" Every time Soma pulls this MacGyver-like weird things up, every single serious chef, or at least as serious as we consider them to be, always say the same thing. "Are you mocking me?" Granted, however, maybe Tsukasa didn't that, because he just knew that Soma was that weird to begin with. However, almost every single opponent that Soma's faced, when they have seen his trickery, they always do say, "Are you mocking me?" or something similar to that, because if you think about it, in the eyes of these prideful people, Soma is mocking them, because he's basically doing something they didn't even think of, nor even have the ability to do. It's worth fun though that she's pointing her chainsaw at him. I mean, and he's just saying that I am not making fun of you or anything. The only joke that was missing was, but please put that chainsaw away. I don't want to die. So, well, who knows, but that's not Soma's character. So he got to the convenience store here and bought some things that is crucial to his cake. Of course, the Sarge is very angry at Soma's face. I mean, granted, Soma can sometimes appear arrogant and sometimes confident, and just very that chillaxing is up to him. And we see a brief glimpse of in her past of a country, I'm not sure what it is. And yes, Asami, who I actually forgot to name in my top 10 manga list. It was that forgettable to me. Actually had defeated the Sarge once upon a time in Shokugeki. And, well, it was apparently so... The dish was so powerful that not only did she lose her hat, she lost her tie, exposing her cleavage just a little. So, the bet was the winner gets whoever the loser wants. And of course, she didn't like that, but she hadn't so do that. But instead of, I think Sarge expected Asami to take advantage of her. If you think about it, I think a lot of people, when they have challenged the Sarge, have basically said, "If I win, I'll let me have sex with you." Okay, maybe not everyone saw that, but I mean, the Sarge is an arrogant woman and lower than the dirt on my shoes. But she is an attractive lady, and she does have a very dominatrix feeling to her. And there's nothing more sexy for those that are more little chivalrous perverts like me to dominate a dominatrix. So I think the Sarge was expecting that Asami was going to take advantage of her, because I think a lot of people that have challenged the Sarge want to take advantage of her. I mean, that Yakuza wanted that, although technically it wasn't a challenge, it was because she was hired from him. Well, but that's just me and my perverted mind speaking. Instead, Asami lent out a hand, saying that he was recruiting and needed someone who was good with the cooking blade. And seeing that Sarge was a chef of the noir and had nowhere to call home, Asami suggested to follow him, and I will let you fulfill and help me fulfill my ambition. So it seems that Asami had recruited for a very long time. And has that recruiting been all in order to woo Erina, and all to crush Soma, and all to just become a Yoichiro copy? Or has there been for something else? As I said before many times, Asami is not a good villain. That doesn't mean he's a badly written villain. He's just not a good villain because he is a severely repressed child in an adult's body. And given the past, that is not surprising. So it's not that he is badly written because of the way he is, it's more the fact that the way he is how he becomes. Therefore, he tries to have an air of, authority and well, relaxing, all that stuff. All of that he'll learn from Yoichiro. If he loses all that, I think he will have a mental breakdown. In fact, I would be surprised if he didn't. So of course, Sarge do not take Soma serious, as those two judges, that's the only ones who are on the side of the light, also begins to panic. I'm just saying. Do it always have to be a trend with good judges panicking? Come on, it's getting old. Every single Shokugeki we see, we always see these only sane people lose their minds. It's a little bit too much, please. We understand the despair. You don't have to lampshade it. So just give us hope, no despair. So well, either way, Soma begins to do something. He is first putting out tofu and milk. He's adding banana and cocoa powder and whipping it in the processor. And with the dough, he uses a mountain jam, whatever that is. And then he takes the folio from the bag that he had the ingredients on and begins to crush the little cake, a grocery bag. And the starch actually seems to realize that he's doing something. And then he cooks the sponge cake on charcoal. And one of the judges, an old lady, I don't really know though, for some reason her face seems to her face doesn't disappear. It's the fact that she is smiling. It's the fact that she realizes what he's doing. He's apparently using the infrared heat waves of the charcoal fire to make the dough light and fluffy. And it's a traditional Japanese cook for things like an omelette. But she had never heard of baking cakes. And the light judges finally calm down and realizes that Soma is just doing one other thing after another. So, they were overwhelmed by Sarge's abstract and weird cooking. And that's the thing. The noirs are good chefs, it's just that they overwhelm people with their strange cooking, making these only sane men realize that there are other ways to amaze you, such as putting a normal spin on a normal cooking in a creative way. So that is Soma, and we see a brief flashback on the time when he was still a rookie. And well, we saw even that scene when Yoichiro said that I'll leave the dish to you when he was in the 6th grade. But Soma still do it even though he, so he apparently did read recipes, which is pretty strange. I thought he actually never read recipes as a child. He just experimented. So well, maybe he read at the beginning and then he just suddenly decides to read. So yeah, he did panic a little bit. And then, well, we see more of these little funny things. Is the fact that Yoichiro getting notes of 20 people who needed to be ready in 5 minutes. A man who said that he needed to cut down on the sugar, so he needed something without any sugar and dairy products. So yeah, we saw the Soma time when he was a little bit more stressful. However, every single time Soma did say, of course I can. So we all know that Soma is in the past always panicked when he was in the kitchen. In the past, as a child, in the 6th grade, and luckily did not have a female voice when that happened. It's just that Soma learned from that experience, and in the end always said, of course I can. He has always been that chef, and always chef that is willing to push himself beyond the boundary and then saying, of course I can make something. So what he makes is a bouchée de Noël, or a Christmas log, one of the traditional Halloween sweets in Europe. Actually, I've seen that a lot in a French freeze store. It's made to resemble firewood logs with a bark-like motif. But the decoration this time doesn't really fit the mood. It's basically looking like Japanese firework balls on a log. So with that, the judges begins to eat. as the light chef, the old man, whatever he's called, saying that what you did a splendid job making a real log. So, and apparently how Soma did it was because he used his own chainsaw, which was the spoons, and they apparently broke. So, so the other light chef realizes that he broke the ice cream soup by basically he crafted it into a log using it. That's how he said he used his own chainsaw. And the judges who eat that, especially the old lady, feels like she's in heaven, finally making the arrogant Sarge lose her composure a little bit. And she even says that it's different from the Sarge creation. And it feels like fireworks gonna pop. Actually, that is pretty fitting now when you think about it. This is the final day of 2018 when this review comes up, and they describe it as fireworks. Maybe that's why the shatter was released too early, am I right? Well, whatever. And there were some many secret delicious flavors. And apparently, according to Soma, the base dough is made of wheat flour, canola oil, and baking powder. And the hand-crushed jam adds a subtle sweetness and viscosity to it. And if you squash it by hand rather than turning into smooth paste, it remains gentle in mouthfeel. And the ice cream filling are double, because it's revealed that Soma didn't use a single drop of real sugar in this dish. No, he used creativity to create a sweetness taste. Not sweet powder, but a sweetened taste. Because if one takes banana, avocado, soy milk, and rice syrup, okay, granted, however, the rice syrup may be a little close to, well, sugar. After all, I have never really been confirmation on how healthy rice syrup really is compared to regular syrup. But you know what? It's better if we never find out, because you shouldn't eat it in large doses anyway. So, and that you can find it in a convenience store, together with puffed rice. When Soma blended it all together into white cream and then used dark cocoa cream as glazing over the sponge cake, it creates a sweetened taste to it all, completely free of sugar and dairy products. A very intriguing sweetness of the ingredients in the cells. So, and Soma once again puts his restaurant training to use, because they're saying that if you look at the prize guests who are waiting to enjoy my cooking, they are on this table here and now. And he actually points out one thing. The theme of this, match was Christmas desserts. However, Soma is the only one who pointing out this is not Christmas. It's hot and humid weather. So how about enjoying something light and refreshing rather than something hot and heavy like sugar? Basically, what Soma is, he is throwing the orders of whatever to cook into the face of that arrogant bookmaster and everything else. He is defying the theme by making a new creative spin of gloriousness. He is bringing the light to the dark and giving the middle finger to the challenge, pointing out that you shouldn't just follow it completely. He is basically saying what I'm saying. The noirs are the good chefs, but they are following the theme too much. They don't put a creative top to it. And that's what separates a real light chef from a noir. And the judges are actually unsure if they could call this, because they don't know which one to make, which of course the Sarge has a villainous breakdown for. I mean, the fact that she calls this, the fact that the theme was a Christmas cake to him leaving a party, and she feels like this cake has no more than a gimmick, and the fact that her cake had bomb effects and all that stuff. So once again, what I said, Soma defied the theme by making his own creativity. But we all know Soma. He always likes to pull a twist in his cooking. Just if his first case cannot, put a spin to it. So he says that he still has a firework. And if the firework balls he has on top of it, I mean, these ice cream looking things, whatever those things is, they look like apples, but maybe there's something else. He is grabbing them and saying that these firework balls are the best part of it, the perfect thing for a summer party. And now he's gonna pull the trigger, effectively putting out his dynamite. And once he does, there is no denying that he's gonna win. And very likely what he's gonna do here is put the theme of the Christmas into the theme of the summer. As I said before, this had a firework theme to it, which is pretty fitting considering this is the last day of 2018. So what I'm trying to say is, Soma is gonna pull the trigger. A little sparkling of new types of sweetness is gonna come out, effectively making this a summer celebration of fireworks as also of New Year's, fusing them all together and creating a new creative twist to it all, knocking out the over flashy image that is Sarge's cooking. Granted, yes, like that it may not happen. However, we all know that once Soma pulls that trigger, he is the winner. So that's basically the chapter. I mean, granted it was better than I thought it would be. What I would have preferred if we got the chapter in the new year. That way it would have restored my faith in Shokugeki no Soma just a little bit. Granted the chapter did not restore my faith. It's just that it was the chapter I needed. A little chapter of the arrogant people finally getting what they deserve. And the next chapter probably will be the eclipse. So I'm looking forward to that. Give me your thoughts.